fellow champions, I welcome you all to score 360 out of 360 in NEET Bio within 250 days, and today we are going to talk about Weinberg principle. Now we are almost towards the end of evolution also, and this is a very important topic and a very interesting topic. You might be thinking, ma'am tells it for everything. I didn't find evolution interesting. Are you sure you didn't find evolution interesting? Did you watch all the videos? Well, this topic is actually really very much interesting. I loved it. Okay, while I was preparing the PPT, while I was thinking how to teach you guys, I was loving the whole process. So I believe you will also like it, and there are so many questions, so you do not have option to unlike it as well. Okay, so definitely try it out, listen to me very carefully and try all the questions. Okay, now okay. What all did we cover in our previous session, children? There were so many people who said that this is the theory of evolution, this is how we evolved. So there was Lamarck who gave theory of inheritance of acquired character. Weismann said, no, this is wrong, I will give you germplasm theory. Darwin said, you both are wrong, let me give you the natural selection theory. And then Hugo de Vries came in and said, I know a bit about genetics and I know mutation is the reason why we have evolved. So we studied about all these theories in the previous session. Now if you want to go through it, then you can watch the previous video, and if you want the PDF of the same, you can join our WhatsApp channel also, my dear little cuties. Okay, now going ahead, the number of questions that we have for this chapter is 4. So you know, for every correct answer you get 4 marks. So 4 into 4, 16 marks for this chapter. Something very huge. Okay, now time to talk about some serious stuffs. I remember I gave you homework. Let me act like a strict teacher. Did you do it? So, which of the following evidences does not favor the Lamarckian concept of inheritance of acquired trait? For that, you should be knowing what do you mean by Lamarckian concept of inheritance of acquired trait. So, according to him, children, according to me, we inherit something that is there in our genes. So, from my parents, I have inherited the hair color, the skin color, the eye color, everything. Okay, I got it from my parents. I say that. Okay, because it was there in the genes and the genes are passed on to me. But now, I think that I have to go to gym. Okay, now I went to gym and I have big muscles. Don't look over here. Okay, just imagine that I have big muscles over there. And do you expect that my babies, whenever I have, they will also have these muscles because I have acquired it? So basically I can pass it on. Well, this does not work like that. We do not pass our acquired character. Acquired character means when you're living, whatever character you're acquiring, you're getting, that is what you mean by acquired character. So they do not have anything to do with our genes. Our genes are intact inside our cells. This is something external. This is something that I'm acquiring from outside. Okay. So according to Lamarck, he said that we acquire certain traits. Okay, we acquire certain traits and these are inherited from one generation to the other generation. How did he say that? Why did he say that? He saw that giraffe was there. There was a small chunu giraffe. Okay, then he saw that some of them were stretching their neck and now they have big necks. And then he found that basically the big neck ones were producing progenies who also had big neck. But he didn't know it was because of variations and mutations that were happening. Okay, so this was a chance thing that happened over there, but he thought it's just that because this guy stretched his neck and it has acquired it, and now when this guy and another girl with the same neck type, they fuse, they will give out a progeny with long neck type. It's not like that. It's not something that they have acquired. It's their inherited character, probably because there was mutation happening in their genes, which is why all of a sudden they have the long neck and stuff like that. Okay, now, so which of them does not favor, that is the question. So there will be one of them does not favor this thing, Lamarckian principle. Rest all of them might say that Lamarckian principle is true over here. So let's see what are those. Okay, lack of pigment in cave dwelling animals. So lack of pigment. So this, listen, even though Lamarckian principle was rejected, we have to think about this question. So in this question, we know there is only one thing that is wrong, that is not following Lamarckian principle. Rest all of them are following. So we have to think like whether it's following or not. We have to see it. Okay. So lack of pigment in cave dwelling animals. So we caved in a cave. Obviously, you do not need much pigments. You do not need much pigments. So people can say that, okay, probably the organisms who did not have pigments, they are staying over there because they have acquired it throughout their lifetime. So this is explaining Lamarckian concept. Okay, this is supporting Lamarckian concept that, okay, there was a cave, and in that cave basically there might be organisms who had pigments, but there were organisms who did not have pigments, and since they were living inside cave, they did not have pigments, they acquired it. And now we have all of them who do not have any pigments. Okay, so lack of pigment in cave dwelling animals is an example of Lamarckism. Going ahead, melanization in peppered moth. So in the case of peppered moth, you know there are two types of moth. One is the white one and one is the black one. One is the white one and one is the black one. Both of them, they survived over there. Now, can I say that this is an example of Lamarckism? Can I say that this is an example of Lamarckism? According to Lamarckism, only one trait gets acquired and then it goes on. That's the thing, right? But over here, the white one is there, the black one is also there. And this two things, melanization, happened because of mutation, children. Because of mutation, which is why there is two different varieties. One is white and the other one is black. So this is opposite to Lamarckism. So this does not prove of Lamarckism. So this is the answer, but still we'll go ahead. Now, absence of limbs in snake. Now again, we can say that this is Lamarckism. Basically, snake obviously did not need limbs. So at one point of time, it was use and disuse, you know, right? Use and disuse. So something is not used, that will be deleted from their entire body. That was according to what Lamarck said. So basically, limbs were not needed, so they were deleted. So now, if we say that snakes do not have limbs, it might, yes, say that it follows what? This Lamarckian principle. Going ahead, presence of webbed toes in aquatic birds. Now they are birds, but now they are aquatic birds. They are living in water. Now, to live in water, they need webs. Now again, they are acquiring something, and we say that if it is passing on from generation to generation, this is an acquired trait itself. So according to him, yes. Again, this can be an example of Lamarckian concept. It is said it can be an example of Lamarckian concept. It is not the truth. Remember, it is not the truth. But over here, melanization in peppered moth, you cannot think of it as a Lamarckian concept. You cannot prove it of any type. I'm not saying this is actually Lamarckism, this is actually Lamarckism. No, children. All of them, they show the chances of what he was saying. It has some similarity to these things. That's the only thing. Okay. So one that totally disapproves is this one, because this happened because of mutations and everything. Okay. Next. I know it's a difficult, it's a bit tricky thing. I won't say difficult, but tricky thing to understand. You will get to understand it if you think calmly, peacefully. Okay. Now, today's topic is Hardy-Weinberg's principle, and according to Hardy-Weinberg's principle, let's see what he said. This principle says that allelic frequency or allele frequencies in a population are stable and is constant from generation to generation. Now, I am saying what he said is wrong. Okay, the first statement I am saying is that whatever he said is wrong, my dear children. So according to him, the allelic frequency, what do you mean by allelic frequency? So over here I have man and women. Okay, over here I say that there is a chromosome. There's a pair of chromosome, right? Here also she also has a pair of chromosome. Now you know that everyone has a pair of chromosomes. No chromosomes are alone, they all have a pair. So this is the 21st chromosome for the man, this is the 21st chromosome for the female. Okay. Now I am saying that there is a gene. There is a gene for eye color. That means in the segment of the DNA, or DNA basically condensed together and form the chromosome, right? So basically there is a portion which is a gene, okay, genes, and this gene is coding for a protein which is going to define the eye color. So genes are responsible for making of proteins which define each character. So as of now we are talking about eye color. Now I am saying that these genes are of two varieties. Either it can be this gene, okay, this gene can be of two varieties. I call these varieties as alleles. So allele number 1, allele 1 is B type, capital B. Okay, then there is allele type 2, which is small b. That means, thing that I am trying to say is that if this is a DNA and this is a DNA, okay, over here I am saying that there is allele capital B over here and there is allele small b over here. That means they are both coding for eye color protein itself, but one is different from other. This might be coding for blue eye color, this might be coding for grey eye color. Okay, so there are different types of the same thing, that is eye color. We are talking about eye color, but the eye color is different. Okay, so one is coding for what, children? It is coding for blue eye color. Okay, and this is coding for grey eye color. Now if you have already studied genetics, it will be too easy for you. Okay, so every time you see a chromosome, there will be gene over here and there will be gene over here of the same character, that is eye color, in both of them. Now it can be same, the alleles which are present over here can be same. So either it can be capital B over here, both of them. Okay, over here it can be suppose small b and small b. That means she will be having grey eye color, because small b stands for grey eye color, and capital B over here, he will be having blue eye color. Okay, that is a thing. Fine. So there are two alleles over here. All of them will be having alleles. Now there could be another condition where this is the guy again. Okay, and that guy has capital B over here and small b over here. So then what is the color of the eye? So let me tell you, in a pair of allele children, so we said this is a pair. So what do you call this pair? Capital B, capital B. Okay, what do you call this pair? Small b, small b. Now in this pair it is capital B, small b. Over here say a pair of alleles, both of them are different. Okay, one will be dominant over the other always, and that letter is shown by capital letter. So this is dominant over this. That means capital B stands for what, children? Blue. So this guy will be having blue eye color. Okay, now one more thing, when the alleles are same, you call it homozygous. When the alleles are same, you call it homozygous. So this is homozygous dominant. Okay, because you have two B's. So this is a dominant trait. I told you it's a dominant trait, that is why it is being shown. So I say both of them are same and this is dominant. So this is homozygous dominant. Over here if you see, they are homozygous. Again they are similar only. Two alleles are same. But this is a recessive character. So this is homozygous recessive. Fine. Now what about this? This will be is it homozygous? Do you think it's same alleles? No, there are two different alleles, right? So I call this heterozygous. And you tell me, is it dominant or recessive? Over here you have this guy. If you didn't have this guy, then it would have been something else. So over here it is heterozygous dominant. This is dominant trait is there, that means you have to mention it. Okay, now again I am telling you, given different situation. Okay, if it is like this, what do you call it? This is capital C, this is small c, this is capital T, small c. What do you call this? This is homozygous dominant. Both of them are dominant trait. Over here this is homozygous recessive. Over here this is heterozygous dominant. Okay, can there be heterozygous recessive? No, children. When it is heterozygous condition, one will dominate over the other, so recessive one won't be shown. When will the recessive character be shown? When the two alleles are of same types and both of them are recessive. At this point of time it will be shown. Okay, now why am I talking about genetics over here? Because I needed to explain you about something. Okay, so I am saying the principle says that allele frequencies in a population are stable and is constant for generation to generation. Over here I am saying if there is a population of people, and this is the alleles that I am talking about. So there is a population of people, okay, there is a whole population of people where a group of people where these guys are also there, okay, and in total 50 people are there in this population. Okay, in total 50 people are there. Now 50 people will be having two alleles each. 50 people, if you see, they will be having two alleles each for each thing, right? So how many alleles, children? 100 alleles. 50 basically into 2, I get 100 alleles. Okay, and I am saying that almost 70% of the alleles are capital B. Okay, 70% of this time, 70% of the alleles are capital B, and rest 30% allele is small b. Okay, so among this population, if you think that 50 people are there, okay, 50 people are there, then most of them will be having capital B with them, which is why I am saying that capital B is 70% and small b will be basically 30%. So this is the frequency. Okay, this is the percentage I am telling you. Okay, this is the percentage. Now if you want to calculate frequency, you say you denote dominant one with P and you denote recessive one with Q. Okay, so what is the frequency? This is the frequency of what? Dominant trait. What is the frequency of dominant trait, children? It is 70%. Now if I want to find frequency, okay, I have to change it into decimal points. So I say, if I say the total allelic frequency should be 1, if I say the total allelic frequency should be 1, so it should be below 1 over here. So 70%, can I say 0.7? 30%, can I say this is 0.3? And together if I calculate, it becomes 1. Okay, it becomes what? 1. Now according to this guy, that is Hardy-Weinberg's principle, it is said that the population, this particular population, will be having a constant frequency, allelic frequency. That is, it will be having always, it will be having B's frequency, capital B will be always 0.7 and recessive one will be always 0.3. So it will be always constant, generation after generation. Every time reproduction happens, every time everything happens, this remains constant. But do you think it can happen? Do you think that capital B will be this much only and small b will be this much only? Do you think so? If you think so, then you are wrong. Basically, obviously, this is a population. Anything can happen to the population. Just suppose so many people get killed over here because of some natural disaster. What will happen? Again, this frequency that you see over here will be disturbed. There will be something else. Okay, or probably if some people from here moved on to somewhere else and some other people came over here and you have whole new genetic frequency over there, then obviously again, is this allelic frequency going to be the same again and again? No, children, it will be different. But according to Hardy-Weinberg, they say that allelic frequency, that is P and Q, okay, in a population are stable and is constant from generation to generation, which is entirely wrong. Okay, now one more thing, the gene pool, that is the total number of genes and everything, remains a constant. This is known as genetic equilibrium. This thing, what he said, okay, that everything will be is going to be the same. You call this as genetic equilibrium. Equilibrium. Cool. Now sum total of all the allelic frequencies is 1. I already told you P and Q is equals to 1. So P is going to denote the dominant one, Q is going to denote the recessive one. Okay. Now suppose again, over here you have 80% B and you have 20% small b. What is the allelic frequency? What will be the allelic frequency, children? Over here we have to make it into decimal, right? So this P will be, this is capital B stands for P, it will be 0.8. Talking about Q, it is 20, then here it will be 0.2. Together if you bring, it is 1, right? So that is the thing that he said. Cool. Now going ahead. So individual frequencies, for example, can be named as P and Q, etc. In a diploid, P and Q represent the frequency of allele A and small allele A. So basically I told you, we all are diploid organism. We all have a pair of chromosome. Okay, one from each parents. So again, over here also, suppose I am their daughter. So I'll be getting either one of this pair, either one chromosome of this pair, either this or this. Similarly, I will be getting either one of this particular pair. Again, I will be having a new pair of chromosome, one from my father, that is having capital B, one from my mother having small b. What is my eye color, children? If this is capital B, this is small b, capital B will dominate over the small b and my eye color will be blue, my dear children. My eye color will be blue. Now it is homozygous, heterozygous. What? It is heterozygous. There is one capital B and one small b. So it has to be heterozygous. Now this is all important. That is why I am telling you. Okay. Now the frequency of capital A individuals, that is homozygous individuals in a population. If for example P is denoting A. Now what will denote double A? There are two A's together. Can I say P square denotes this? Can I say P square denotes this? Yeah. Now on the other hand, if Q is denoting small a, frequency of one allele. Now you know that if suppose there are two small a alleles coming together, then what will be the frequency? It will be Q square. Okay. Now suppose if a person has this is heterozygous. At this point of time, how will you calculate? So basically this is P. This is denoted by P, this is denoted by Q, okay, but you have to add this also. There is 2PQ, something else. Why did we add this? Because there is a formula, you know, right? A plus B whole square is equals to what? A square plus B square plus 2AB. Similarly, over here we write P plus Q whole square is equals to P square plus Q square plus 2PQ. This denotes the amount. Okay, this denotes the frequency of heterozygous individuals This denotes the frequency of homozygous dominant individuals. Homodominant I am writing, okay? It is homozygous dominant. This denotes the frequency of heterozygous dominant individuals. Heterozygous dominant. Sorry. Homozygous recessive. What I am writing, my mama. I know you might have got heart attack, small heart attack, but yes. Homozygous recessive. Cool, and that is what is exactly written over here. So let's see. The frequency of capital A individuals in a population is simply p square. This is simply stated in another way, that is the probability that an allele A, capital A, with a small a frequency of p appear on both the chromosome of a diploid individuals is simply the product of, there's too much of things. You just have to remember this formula. Okay, is equals to 1, don't forget to put that. Now this is the binomial expansion of p plus q whole square. When frequency measured differs from expected values, difference indicates the extent of evolutionary change. Disturbance in genetic equilibrium or Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, that is the change of frequency of alleles in a population, would then be interpreted as resulting in evolution. So any change in the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium suggests, if there is some change over here, that means obviously there are some changes in the gene, there's some changes in the allelic frequency. That is denoting what, children? Evolution. So according to the last statement that is being put down over here, it states that this, if there is a change, if there is a change over here, this change will lead to evolution. So any change from Hardy-Weinberg law or principle is going to give rise to an evolution. Got it? And we will see what are all those things which is going to disrupt the Hardy-Weinberg thing, but I hope this is clear to you. Now you should be knowing certain numerical question types. So for that I have come, but again feeling very hot. Just a second. Let me turn on. Okay. Over here, the first question type will be, you might be given the frequency of the dominant rate, that is 0.8%, and you are asked to find the frequency of q. Okay, actually it should not be like this, it should be like this. Okay, so if p is equals to 0.8, then what is q, my dear children, when p plus q should be equal to 1? So you just have to minus. P plus q is equals to 1, right? So 0.8 plus q is equals to 1, q is equals to 1 minus 0.8, q is equals to 0.2. Okay, how many percentage of individuals have q? Basically 20%. Just make the decimal point up. Got it? This is one question type. This is the easiest one. Either one of them will be given to you. Now you are given p is 0.7. you are asked to find the frequency of homozygous recessive. Homozygous recessive as in, for example, you are asked to find the frequency of this. You are given the frequency of capital B, which is 0.7. How can you find this? Basically, first thing that you need to find is B. What is the frequency of small b? Then you can calculate. If you square it, you will be getting B square, Q square, right? So over here, let's calculate once. Let's try it once. So capital B is equals to 0.7. Small b will be equal to what? You have to minus. So if P is this, just a second. You know, again, P plus Q is equals to 1. So P is 0.7. I'm making it line by line because I know there might be some students who might not understand it very easily. So this is 0.3. This is the value of Q. But what you have to find? You have to find the frequency of homozygous recessive individual. So recessive, homozygous as in you are talking about two different alleles which has to be same, and it's recessive. So obviously both of them are small b are same. Now over here, if B I have to calculate, then I have to find Q square, right? So 0.3 into 0.3, what will be the thing? It will be 0.9. Got it? Got it? So this is the frequency of what, children? Frequency of homozygous recessive individuals. If you are asked homozygous dominant, what will you say? So 0.7. Okay, 0.7 into 0.7 if you calculate, you'll get the answer. Works? Now, next thing, frequency of heterozygous individuals. Okay, so Q is given. Q is 0.2. Q is given this time, the recessive one. Now you have to find the dominant one first. Okay, what is the frequency of that? So again, P plus Q is equals to 1. What is Q? 0.2 is equals to 1. Okay, what is P? 1 minus 0.2. P is equals to 0.8. Now what you are asked to find? Frequency of heterozygous individual. Now P and Q is there. If P and Q is there, how do you find heterozygous? 2 into P and Q. So 2 into what is P, children? 0.8. What is Q over here? 0.2. You get 0.16 into 2, you get 0.32. This is the frequency of heterozygous individuals. Okay, so that is question type 3. Now, one more type of question. In a population, homozygous recessive individuals are 25%. Homozygous recessive individuals means this is what? 25%. Okay, 25%. That means if this is percentage, I can calculate in decimal. This is 0.25. Okay, Q square is equals to 0.25. What is the frequency of recessive allele? So, if Q square is 0.25, you put the square root, right? What do you get, children? You get 0.5. Q will be 0.5. Simple. Easy. Okay, now if it was 36, then again 0.36 square root, you get 0.6. That is how you have to find out. Now if you've given this and you asked for dominant one, how will you find the frequency of dominant allele? So if this is 0.6, okay, 0.6 minus 1 will be what? 0.4. That will be the dominant alleles thing. Frequency of dominant allele, one allele. If it is you are asked about homozygous dominant, what do you do? 0.4 into 0.4, 0.16. That's how you have to find out. Easy. So these are different type of numerical questions that comes from this particular topic. So you have to just go through it once and you will be able to understand it. Okay, works? Chalo. Okay. 5 factors that affect the Hardy-Weinberg principle. I told you, obviously Hardy-Weinberg principle is not going to be followed. If it is followed, then probably obviously we cannot have evolution happening with us. So 5 factors that are known to affect the Hardy-Weinberg principle are gene migration or gene flow, genetic drift, mutation, genetic recombination and natural selection. We are going to discuss about one by one each of them. Okay, so when migration of a section of population to another place and population occurs, gene frequencies change in the original as well as in the new population. New genes alleles are added to the new population and these are lost from the old population. There would be a gene flow if this gene migration happens multiple times. If the same change occurs by chance, it is known as genetic drift. Okay, to make things easy, let's study one by one. Let's talk about gene migration first. Okay, so gene migration is basically, you see there are so many cule deers over here and you have other population of deer which is darker in color, okay, over here, and now few of them, these guys, Chinky and Chunky, decided that we cannot be here, we have to go ahead, we have to find what's up there with the other guys over there. So they went over here, okay, they stayed over there. Now according to Hardy-Weinberg principle, here they will have a proper frequency and allelic frequency. Here also they will have a constant allelic frequency. But these guys which are moving over here, don't you think that they are disturbing the allelic frequency? Now the alleles over here will be different. Over here you saw the allele variant was this. This was the allele variant. This is the second type of allele which was there, but it was dominant over here. Now 2 of them, they went over here. Okay, you find the alleles have moved. So this is what you call as gene migration. This is what you call as gene migration. Now according to NCERT, one more thing is written. Okay, when gene migration is repeated again and again, when gene migration is repeated again and again, what do you call this as? You call this as gene flow, my dear children. So gene flow, don't you think it will obviously abrupt your Hardy-Weinberg principle stuff and all? Yes, it does. So that is what is exactly written over here. Gene flow, also known as gene migration, is the transfer of genetic material between populations through the movement of individuals or their gametes, for example pollen, from one population to the another. So it is because of the movement or migration of the people, or probably pollen grains, if they move from here to there, they undergo fertilization there. Now you have different type of allelic frequencies over there. This is known as gene migration, and obviously this will disrupt your Hardy-Weinberg principle. Okay, now going ahead, what do we have? We have genetic genetic drift. Now genetic drift is something, okay, over here this was also occurring by chance, but this can generally happen. People can move. For example, I am in India. Tomorrow I decide to move to Australia. My genes are also going with me because I am going, right? My all cells are going with me. Or do you think that my cells will stay here, I'll go? Well, everyone goes together, and hence I am going to change the genetic makeup of that particular place. There is one more person added over there. There are one more allelic types added over there, and from here I am deleting mine and I am going there. So there is reduction over here, there is addition over there. So that is going to affect the gene frequency. Okay, now that is not by chance, it happens. But the next term, that is genetic drift, okay, so that is where the allelic frequency change, but it is by chance. It is totally by chance, and it's actually very funny. So over here you see there are beetles, the black beetles and the red beetles. The black beetles are like gundas, okay, they say that this is our area, there is no one who can enter to our area, you better be outside. This is what they said to the red beets. Okay, now one person went, he didn't know he was eating sandwich, and then he went and stamped it. He didn't know, it was by chance. So what happened basically? All this black chunu guys, they died off. Who stayed there, children? The red ones, they stayed off. Okay, so we had an allelic frequency over there where this was dominant, the other one was recessive. It was there, but then someone by chance came and stamped over here. The allelic frequency is now changed because the new population will look something like this because others have died. Now these guys, they will reproduce and they will give more of their kind. So there is a total shift that you see over here. Okay, and this is known as genetic drift. There is a total drift that you see over here. So genetic drift is a mechanism of evolution that refers to random changes in the frequency of alleles in a population over time. So this is very random process that happens, and it's a very funny process. Okay, now genetic drift, again I can divide into two types. Okay, one is founder's effect and other one is bottleneck effect. Okay, founder's effect is given in your NCERT. So according to founder's effect, no, what happens is that there is some population over here. Okay, there's some population over here, and from them few organisms are going to shift to other organisms or the other area because of so many reasons. Okay, because of so many reasons. So over here you get new population. These guys are building up their own life over there, right? So they are told to be the founders of this particular place. Similarly over here also, if you see, they are acting like founders of this particular place. They will be founders. So similarly over here, you had a typical type of genetic frequency. Okay, among them the orange ones that you see over here, they came over here and now they have established themselves. They are acting like we are the founders of this particular place. This is known as founder's effect. So sometimes change in the allelic frequency is so different in the new sample of population that they become a different species altogether. Now these guys will be very different from these guys, so they become a whole different species together, and the original drifted population becomes founders, and the effect is known as founder effect. This effect is known as, children, founder's effect. Cool. Now there is one more thing, that is bottleneck effect. Now this is very much interesting. I love it. Okay. So what happens in bottleneck effect is that, I should not be saying that I love it, but yeah. Okay. Suppose this is the parent population and you see that you find more amount of green ones over here. Okay. If you see, there are more amount of green ones. Again, zoom it a bit to make you understand this. Okay. If you see this, they have more amount of green ones, and if you see this, they have more amount of blue ones. So that is the first understanding that you should be having, then only I can explain. So initially we had a population like this where the green ones were more and the blue ones were less. Okay, now some natural calamity came up. Okay, earthquake came up. This was again a very random process that happened. No one predicted it. So what happened? The green ones, most of the green ones, they died. That is why it is known as bottleneck effect, as in only a few can pass through the bottle. And suppose this bottle is acting like a calamity. Okay, so only few organisms will be surviving, rest all of them will be dying. So the ones that can pass through the bottleneck will be coming over here, and suppose it's too much amount of blue rather than green which was dominating. So here green was dominating, here green was dominating. Right. Now because of some disaster that happened, most of the greens, they did not survive. Okay, the blue ones survived, and now blue ones will be marking the next generation, and you will be finding more amount of blue ones and less amount of green ones. This is known as bottleneck effect. Now this is again a phenomenon of a type of genetic drift, but yes, you have to remember that, okay. So bottleneck effect is a phenomenon in a population genetics that occurs when a significant portion of a population is suddenly reduced due to an event such as natural disaster, disease outbreak or human activities. This drastic reduction in a population size can lead to a loss of genetic diversity and alter the allelic frequency, and this is what we wanted. We wanted to alter the allelic frequency to show that Hardy-Weinberg principle is not being followed. Obviously, the allelic frequency which was here is not totally changed. Now it is a very different thing over here. Okay, and this is known as bottleneck effect. This is not founder's effect. This is bottleneck effect. Why do you call it bottleneck effect? Again, because you see, this is acting like from a bottle's end, you won't find so many things going around. It's very difficult. So over here also, when natural calamities or anything like that happens, only few will be able to go on, like survive. Others won't be able to survive. So that is a thing. Okay. So I hope this is also clear. So gene flow is done, okay, gene flow is done, genetic drift is done. Genetic drift is a very random process, okay. Under genetic drift you learn two things, that is founder's effect and bottleneck effect, okay. Now going to the next thing, that this is change. So gene flow, genetic drift is done. Now we have recombination. So you know what, in the case of our human beings, okay, in the case of us human beings, I told you we have chromosomes. We definitely have chromosomes, right? So there is a chromosome that you see over here, there is blue one and there is the other one which is what color, children? This is pink or whatever, peach color, okay. Over here also you see this, right? So basically what happens, this is passed entirely to me, okay, or basically this is passed entirely to me from one parent. Similarly other parent also gives. But over here I see that before passing down, so these are the two chromosomes that my father has, a pair. This is a pair, okay. Don't think it to be 4 chromosomes, these are just 2 chromosomes. These are just 2 chromosomes. So over here I find that basically this has one type of allele. For example, there is capital B over here and there is suppose small b over here, okay. And it has other genes also for other features, okay. So I think I should be making another one to make things easy for you. So this is one chromosome and my dear children, this is another chromosome, okay. And I have different genes, one gene for eye color. So for eye color gene, so I have capital B and over here I have small b, okay. Now over here I have a thing for my height, so there is capital T and over here there is small t. So when this chromosome has to go, okay, when this chromosome has to go, you see that basically it should be giving capital T and capital B from one of my parent. But what happens is that in a pair of chromosomes in our body, sometimes something that is known as recombination happens. Recombination happens. So what was the before thing? Before thing, either I can pass this or either I can pass this. There is no combination. So always blue was with tall, and the other one grey, small b stands for grey, right? It was with dwarf. So either I can get this from my parent, one father, basically father, and this I can get from again my father. These are the two possibilities that could happen. But now when recombination happens, what happens, children? Suppose this area is being cut and being put over here. So presently now I will be having capital B over here, whereas this area would be coming over here. So I will be having this is capital B, this is just a second, I shifted, no. So this is small b and this will be capital B. Now you tell me about the combination, next combination that I am having. This time the chromosome that will be coming will be either grey with tall and this will be either blue with dwarf. This is a new combination that I found. Now obviously this is shifting my allelic frequency. I didn't have these alleles. I had these alleles at front, but because of recombination that had taken place, my future generation will be different from what I am. And this is obviously true. this will be obviously true. I have these particular things with me, but my future generation can be something else, because in my body recombination is happening and I am passing the new chromosome to my child over there. So that particular child will be obviously not the exact replica of me, which is why we do not exactly look like our parents, because there's a change in allelic frequency. If there is no change in allelic frequency, then obviously we should be looking like our parents, but we do not. Okay, so this is an example of recombination. So recombination definitely happens inside us. Okay, now that is the third thing. So gene flow, genetic drift and recombination happened. Now we have mutation. Okay, now we have mutation, and then we will go on to the next slide. Okay, so mutation, what do you understand by mutation, my dear children? So whenever, okay, for example, okay, there is capital B, this area was coding for capital B and this was coding for small b, but because of some mutation, some changes in the genes. Okay, what do you mean by mutations? Mutations are sudden changes that happen. Changes in the genetic information. Okay, different codes and everything. If you have studied about DNA, you might be knowing that basically DNA strand looks like this. You have different codes. A, T, C, G, T, A, things like that. And all of these things basically are coding for amino acids, and these amino acids are coding for proteins. So this is how things work. Now if there is a change in one among them, so this will be coding for something else. Now suppose they are coding for something else, not capital B, not small b, there is some other new allele being formed over here, okay, which is D. Some other allele which is D, which is coding for black eye color. So this is something else. Again, mutations could be good, or it could be a problematic thing. Okay, people get killed because of mutation. Why do you think cancer occurs? Cancer, one big reason for cancer to occur is mutations happening in our genes. Unwanted mutations, we do not want it. Some mutations, basically some changes in our body are really good for us. That is how we might have evolved. Some are bad. Now mutations, obviously, again, good or bad, either way it is changing the allelic frequency. This is not something that we expected before. This is a new thing that we have got over here. Okay, so basically this is again going to change our allelic frequency. So that is about mutation. Okay, that is about mutation. So we are going to see a paragraph about mutation, recombination and something that is known as natural selection. I will come to that. We will read it entirely and we will learn it. Okay, so microbial experiments show that pre-existing advantageous mutations, when selected, will result in observation of new phenotypes. So the advantageous mutations, the good mutations which will be there, obviously would give rise to new physical characters. As we saw black eye color, which was altogether not there. Now over few generations this would result in speciation. Now there will be different species that will be occurring because of these mutations being accumulated over there. They're so different from the original population. Okay, now natural selection is a process. Now this is something else. Natural selection is a process in which heritable variations enabling better survival are enabled to reproduce and live greater number of progeny. That means, what do you mean by natural selection? We already studied about this. Basically, if something, okay, for example, you had industrial moths. You have two moths. One was the white one was the black one. Okay, the white one, initially it survived really well during pre-industrialization era. Why? Because the plant, it was covered by something that is known as lichen, and lichen was white in color. Okay, lichen is good thing. Lichen is made up of algae and fungi, and they are only present when population is not too much. Sorry, pollution is not too much. So basically the white moth, if I make it over here, will you be able to see it? No. So same thing, predators, those who were feeding on the white moth, they were also not able to see it. So they were going and they were not seeing it, and hence these guys were safe. The white ones were safe before industrialization occurred. But what about the black ones? Black ones were also there. Black ones could not survive because black ones were correctly visible. Over here they are not visible, but yes, comparatively if we see, they are visible. So they were visible and they were eaten by the predators. Okay, so nature selected the white moth initially, but now things changed. Okay, things changed. Pollution happened. When pollution is happening, lichen growth is stopped. So lichen is not there. Now in this case, the white moth which were ruling the area, if they come and sit over here, okay, and the black moth It also comes and sits over here. Do you think you can see the black moth? The predator also cannot see the black moth. But what about the white moth? White moth is clearly visible, children. So over here, nature is selecting the black moth to survive, whereas what about the white moth? It is not safe. It is not safe. Now this is known as natural selection. What do you mean by natural selection? The one that is fittest, that is perfect for the environment. It has all the features to survive. It has all the features. The white does not have all the features to survive. Okay, how do I make the black one? Instead of making the black one, can I make a purple one? Will it work? This is the black moth. Okay, so this is able to survive. This is able to, since it is able to survive, it will be able to reproduce and it will increase its number. Increase its number. Now this is known as natural selection, and natural selection, whenever it happens, obviously again it is changing the allelic frequency. Initially we had more amount of white colored moth, so alleles of that color moth was different from the black one, but now we have more amount of black colored moth, so alleles of the black colored moth is different. So again there is a shift in the allele, and this is what we said, that natural selection, everything, all the reasons that are there, they are saying that Hardy-Weinberg principle is not something that can be followed. The allelic frequency cannot be stable over generation, cannot be constant for sure. Okay. Now, a critical analysis makes us believe that variation due to mutation or variation due to recombination, okay, a critical analysis makes us believe that variation due to mutation or variation due to recombination during gametogenesis, over here you saw variation due to mutation, variation that is caused by recombination during gametogenesis, when the gametes are formed. Okay, so when the gametes are formed, these chromosomes are coming together and that is being passed on to us. Yeah, or due to gene flow or genetic drift results in the changed frequency of genes and alleles in the future generation, and that's what we exactly saw. All these things are basically changing the genetic makeup, basically changing the genetic frequency, the allelic frequency over there. Okay, coupled to enhance reproductive success, natural selection makes it look different population. Natural selection, when it happens, it makes it look like a different population altogether. Okay, now there is a thing given in your NCERT, okay, which looks like this, and this is an example of natural selection. So natural selection, it can lead to certain things. Okay, the first thing it can lead to is stabilization, in which more individuals acquire mean character value. That means, for example, so this was the actual thing. Okay, you find phenotypes that are favored by natural selection in the middle, okay, or somewhere else. So, okay, basically, there was a mountain, and this mountain was yellow in color. Okay, this mountain was yellow in color. So basically, the organisms which were yellow in color, that is this organism, okay, suppose it's a beetle or something like that, it was able to survive over there. Okay, but you had another population which was green in color, and there was another population which was dark green in color. Okay, so we found the one that were moderate, they were able to survive over there. Okay, the one that were in the moderate range, they were able to survive because they are obviously camouflaging over there. Okay, and this is known as stabilization, where it is in the middle. Where it is in the middle as of now. This is the middle area. Okay, this is what exactly is shown over, over here. The peak that you see over here, it gets higher because these organisms are able to stay. Okay, so stabilization, which means more individuals acquire mean character value. More of them, more individuals among them, they are acquiring the mean character value. All of them, they are yellow in color and they are in this particular region. Now, suppose, okay, there are some changes in the environment such that the area which was there, it turned out to be green in color. It turned out to be dark green in color, not light green, dark green in color. Now, this particular thing that you see over here, okay, this particular thing that you see over here slowly will be shifting towards that side where dark green individuals are there. Okay, the yellow ones are over here and the small green ones are over here. So you see there is a shift happening towards that area. The peak, basically, if you see, it was here, but it has shifted to this particular area now. Okay, and what do you call this as? This is directional change to one direction, either one direction it is changing. So more individuals acquire value other than the mean character value, other than the mean or the median which was there. Okay, Apart from it, it is acquiring some other character, which is why the peak is moving towards that side. Now this is known as directional change. This is known as, children, directional change. From when the average value it is going away from different, it can go this side or that side. Cool. Now there is a situation where now you had light color area and dark color area as well. You had light color area and you have dark color area as well. At this point of time, you see that the peak which will be divided, it will be divided into two. It will be now divided into two because these guys can survive and these guys can also survive. So the peak will look like this, my dear children. Over here I have these green ones, okay, and I have the dark green individuals as well, and in the middle, what do I have, children? I have these guys as well. So there is a shift and it is shifting towards both the sides. If it is shifting towards both the sides, so what do you call dispersive thing? Okay, you call this disruption. More individuals acquire peripheral character value at both ends of the distribution curve. So they are, okay, this is known as disruption, where both the individuals are acquiring what? Peripheral character. So these are the peripheral character, the broader category. Okay, so when organisms, they have the average things, most of them they have the average value over there, you call this as stabilization. When it is shifting from average to any of the other ends, okay, any one end, you call this as a directional change. Okay, over here they were able to survive because the whole area turned out to be dark green in color all of a sudden. Okay, now on the other hand, if there are two situations where there is light green color area and dark green color area, so both of them will be surviving. So this time the peak will be distributed into two, and this will be peripheral areas that they are acquiring. This is known as disruption. So you have stabilization, you have directional thing, you have disruption over here. Now on this, there are so many questions that have come. I'll show you a question over here right now. Yeah. In a species, the weight of the newborn ranges from 2 to 5 kg. So 2 to 5 kg is the range. What is the middle range? It will be 3. It will be almost 3, around 3. So 97% of the newborn with an average weight between 3 to 3.3 kg survive. Okay, 97% of the newborn, okay, who are with an average weight 3 to 3.3, they are able to survive. Whereas 99% of the infants born with weight that is 2.2 to 2.5 or 4.5 to 5, that is the extremes. Okay, they die off. So which type of selection process is taking place over here? What do you think? Which type of selection process will be taking place over here? Is it cyclic? Oh, okay. Directional? Is it stabilizing selection, or it is disruptive selection? Which one is it? So almost, I think middle, the average one they are acquiring, all of them they are getting 3.3, 3 to 3.3. They are getting 3 to 3.3. What about this 2 to 2.5? This is a one peripheral character. What about this? This is 4.5 to 5. This is another peripheral character, but they are obtaining the peak over here. So this will be what, children? What type of selection will be this? This is stabilizing type of selection. Okay. What do you call this? This is known as stabilizing type of selection that you find over here. Cool? Works? Okay. Now, one more question is there. Artificial selection to obtain cows yielding higher milk output. Okay, so I'm artificially selecting cows that are giving good higher milk outputs. Then what does it represent? Oh my god, the question is again very simple. Okay, something can be high, something can be low, and something can be average. The average one, if it stays, this is stabilization. If it moves this side, this is directional, or this side it's directional. If it moves to both the sides, it is disruptional. Okay, so over here, artificial selection to obtain cows yielding higher milk output, or not outfit, what happened to me? Okay, it represents directional as it pushes the mean of the character in one direction, disruptive as it splits the population into one yielding higher output and the other one yielding lower output, stabilizing followed by disruptive, stabilizing followed by disruptive. First it was disruptive, then it is saying it is stabilized as it stabilizes the population to produce higher yielding cows, stabilizing selection as it stabilizes this character in a population. What do you think it is? When I am doing artificial selection such that I want to obtain higher milk output wala cows, at this point of time, children, I am making sure that I am going directional. I am going to this area where this peak will be too much. This is not too much. This is not too much. This peak is too much. Okay, this peak is too much. So this is the answer. Directional, as it pushes the mean of the character in one direction. I am pushing all of them. It's no law. There is no low ones. There are no average ones. I am directly pushing them to the high category. So this is directional, as it pushes the mean of the character in one direction. This came in NEET 2017. And the other one was also recent, 2019. So these type of questions you can expect. I told you, right? So these questions, obviously, I cannot expect you to do by your own for the first time, but now since you have understood at least a bit of it, you might use your brain and think for a second like, okay, this might work. Otherwise, if you're not aware of, you have not studied at all, then you might be thinking, I don't know this question. I have not seen anything like that. I'll just give up. So don't even try. But I'm telling you, this is easy. If you use your common sense also, you will be able to do it. But for that, you should be having a previous knowledge about it. And that is why we have classes, and whenever I am taking a class, whenever I am taking a lecture, children, every lecture I am giving you PYQs, and these PYQs are so very important, because I am making you practice certain things which if you see on the day of exam, you might be worried, you might get anxious. So why not practice today and get a hand of it? Then you will be able to easily solve it up. Okay, so that is one thing that I wanted to tell to you. Works? Cool? Chalo. So there are other questions also. So these were the 4th and the 5th question. I solved it for you. Okay. Now just give me a second's time. Okay. Okay. Let's solve. So this is the first question. Let's try to read what's the first question. You have to try it up. Okay. So in a population of 1000 individuals, 360 belong to genotype capital A, capital A. Chalo, right. Let's write. 360 of them are capital A, capital A. 480 of them are capital A, small a. Okay. And remaining 160 are small a, small a. Okay. So this is homozygous dominant. This is heterozygous. And this is homozygous recessive, my dear children. Okay, total population is 1000. What you are asked? Based on this data, frequency of allele A, you have to find the frequency of allele A. That is, you have to find P. You have to find P, my dear children. How can you find P? If this is given 360, if this is given as 360, okay, this is given at everything is 160, 480, this thing like that. If you cancel out this 0 over here, you get 36. Okay, it's 36. Okay, now basically you're putting it into decimal form. Okay, now 36, that's why I cancel out 0. It's not like a random process that I did. Okay, now 36 is there. 36, if AA is 36, if AA is 0.36, you can think like that. Okay, if AA is 0.36, then what will be A? So A is, just a second, what am I doing over here? Okay, listen, AA is 0.36, that means P square is 0.36. Then what is P, my dear children? P will be square root of 0.36, it will be 0.6, that is P. So frequency of allele A is 0.6, that is given over there. Okay, done. It's easy, no? Not too much drama, nothing like that. 360, you're making into decimal format, you want it like that. Okay, so 0.36 you have, that is capital A, capital A. It is the frequency. This is the frequency. Okay, this is the number and this is the frequency. So I have to calculate in decimal format. Over here I go ahead, P square is 0.36, then P will be 0.6. Works. Going ahead, going with question number 2. Okay. In Hardy-Weinberg equation, the frequency of heterozygous individual is represented by heterozygous. So homozygous dominant is represented by P square, homozygous recessive is represented by Q square, and heterozygous is represented by 2PQ. This is the answer. Works? This came in NEET 2016. Going ahead, done. So we have, oh, one more question was there. Sorry, this was the first question. I messed it up. Okay. So a gene locus has 2 alleles. Okay, chalo. Okay. 2 alleles, capital A, small a. If the frequency of dominant allele is 0.4, that means this is P. Okay, then what will be the frequency of homozygous dominant, heterozygous and homozygous recessive individuals in the population? Chalo, let's begin. So this is given, you have to find A first, then only you will be able to find AA. You have to find this, this and this, children. Okay, so heterozygous is given in this order, so you have to find like that. So homozygous dominant, then heterozygous. So homozygous dominant, then heterozygous, then homozygous recessive. This is the order. Okay, and this is the information given to you. Now, if P is equals to 0.4, right? If P is equals to 0.4, then P plus Q is equals to 1. What is P? Substituted 0.4 plus Q is equals to 1. Then what is Q? 1 minus 0.4. What is Q? 0.6. Q is 0.6. So we have two data. P is 0.4. Q is 0.6. Cool? Works? Everything is correct? Now, if I want to find AA, then I have to do P square, which is 0.4 whole square. It will be 0.16. This is AA. Okay, now Q square, if I do, then 0.6 whole square, what do I get? It is 0.36. This is small AA. Okay, what about 2PQ? We have to find 2PQ also, right? We are talking about heterozygous. So in that case, so this is one set of answer. Let's see if it matches. Okay, so P square or AA should be 0.16. So these are the 3 options with 0.16, this. Okay, going at Q should be 0.36. Q over here should be 0.36. So there are 2 options with 0.36. Now we have to find this. So people think that this and this, if they know, they can get the answer. But if you do not know this, can you get the answer? Still you're getting confused, right? So we have to find the heterozygous ones also. So this is 0.16. This is 0.36. What is this? So for that, I have to calculate 2PQ. What is 2, children? 2 is there already. What is P? Sorry. P was 0.4. And what was Q? Q was 0.6. So this plus this is equal to 0.24 into 2. You get the answer to be, what is the answer? 0.48. So the answer is 0.48, my dear children, for 2PQ. So this is the answer. Okay, this is the answer. Do not mess up with the order. Sometimes we do not have time, so we do not see it, but you have to check through. Okay, you have to check through. Then only you will get the answer. Okay, so some people, when I was also solving it, I messed it up with the orders. Cool? Works? So over here I thought it is asking for homozygous dominant, homozygous recessive, and then heterozygous. So it's like this. Then I saw, oh, this is also mentioned. Cool? Works? So these were the 5 questions that we did. Over here, yeah. Over here we can mark the answers so that anyone who wants to see the answer, they know it. So gene locus, for this the answer was this. For this, in a population of 1000 individuals, it was 0.6. In Hardy-Weinberg equation, the frequency of heterozygous individual is represented by 2PQ. Heterozygous is always 2PQ. Okay. Now, in a species, the weight of newborn ranges from 2 to 5 kg. 97% of the newborn with an average weight between this. So over here we saw it was stabilizing selection because the average one was selected. Now, artificial selection to obtain cow yielding higher milk output represents directional as it pushes towards one direction. Okay. Now, there is obviously homework time for you. You should be having homework. Without homework, nothing is complete, right? So, I've definitely got a homework for you, cute little homework. Genetic drift. It's about genetic drift. It operates in what, children? Genetic drift is operate in small isolated population, large isolated population, non-reproductive population, and slow reproductive population. What do you think is the answer for this? Where do you think genetic drift will show its effect? That is, drift of the allelic frequency by chance. Where does it show its effect the most? So you can tell the answer. Okay? Works? So that's all, my dear children. One more thing, if you think that you have any doubt, I didn't clear the topic properly, you can tell me in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to help you out, but you have to tell me that, ma'am, can you please explain this thing again, or can you do something about this? I'll be definitely doing that thing about whatever you have said to me. And also, if you have liked the video, do tell me that also. I'll be really happy. I saw a few comments over there in the past weekend, and I was so happy. So I definitely want, since we are not seeing you guys, so it's like we also need motivation to teach, right? So obviously it's a passion to teach, but your motivation is also needed. So definitely it's not just for me, for all the teachers who are teaching, you should be telling them whether it's good or what bad feedback is necessary for all of them. Yeah, so that's all, and I hope that you all are happy, you all are working hard, and I'm pretty sure you will achieve success. Okay, so do not be worried about that, and I pray for you all every day. So bye bye children, bye bye, take care, and do not forget to subscribe to our channel.